Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday. Thanks again for tuning in to The Holistic Alternative. I am Julie Ann Mejia, and I'm truly delighted to have you all with us again today. We have an inspiring guest joining us. She is a trailblazing social entrepreneur and advocate. As the founder and board chairwoman of Canadian Women in Cannabis, she leads a nonprofit amplifying women's leadership in Canada's cannabis and hemp sectors. Today, we'll be exploring her journey from public education efforts to founding CWIC and how she's championing for equity, inclusion, and sustainability in the forever evolving cannabinoid landscape. It is my honor and privilege to welcome Donna Jo Johansson to the show. Donna, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with me today.
Hey, hello, Julie. Thank you so much for having me here and for being on the show with the audience. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
It's an honor to have you, and I'm so excited to dive right in and share your story with the world today. And if you feel a little bit comfortable, can you please just share with everyone watching today how you got into supporting cannabinoids?
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, I'm Donna Jo, founder of Canadian Women in Cannabis, which is a national nonprofit supporting women across cannabis and hemp sectors. Well, who I am, I'm a lifelong learner and have been a cannabis consumer since my 20s, actually. And my journey really began from curiosity, wanting to understand Canadian, culture and laws and the people involved in cannabis. And over time, it became very personal for me. I was diagnosed with 3 different types of arthritis. And cannabis has become an important part of how I manage my inflammation and pain. So my relationship with cannabis is both personal and professional. And as a patient, a consumer, an educator, and advocate. So that's a little bit about my background. Once I realized the potential cannabis had for health and wellness, I felt compelled to help educate others.
No, I think it's profound, right? When we look at it from a patient perspective, I'm a patient first and foremost. This is my daily medicine that I take to combat my chronic pain and inflammation. So, I think many people watching today share that sentiment that a lot of people, until they really need cannabinoids, they're not aware of how they can be used from a medical therapeutic standpoint.
So true. So true.
But yeah, in regards to developing and getting involved, how did you see, a need from a business perspective and just bringing women together in the industry?
Well, my personal experience led me to pursue a professional path in cannabis education. In 2014, I founded DJ Consulting, which is my private consulting firm, with the purpose of providing educational consulting to ethical cannabis businesses. And, my focus has always been public education based on facts and science and responsible information, because I saw so much of misinformation and stigma attached with cannabis back when. And when you learn about cannabis and you learn the truth about it and you learn that it's medicine, you want to share that and you want to, bring it forward. And this is way back pre-legalization in Canada. So I truly, personally believe that when people are equipped with good information, they can make informed decisions for themselves and their families. So I spent, years researching the cannabis landscape in Canada. I became a researcher. I was really excited because I entered the industry on purpose, working in it. I wanted to do better. And so I delved into attending conferences like the Cannabis and Hemp Conference in Vancouver, Spirit Plant Medicine, various forums, 420 events. I was there in, meeting the culture, meeting the people, finding out the issues. It was very exciting. I really love my work. Those experiences helped me to understand the culture and the movement and the people who were advocating for change. So that research led me to something really important. I noticed many incredible women working in cannabis, but they didn't always have a platform or a collective voice. That was the birth of Canadian Women in Cannabis.
Well, no, thank you for sharing that. And it's a very important thing because, again, and you and I have talked about this privately, but I've talked with so many women in the space who shared, the concept of being looked at like a sex symbol. They weren't heard. They were talked over by men in the space. Can you speak a little bit about your journey being a woman in the space and really helping other women find their voice in the space?
Absolutely. So, while I was consulting and working with businesses and out there, and I said I really got to know the women, I decided to put together a concept paper in 2017 and share it with Canadian Women in Cannabis. And it addressed the lack of female representation, the lack of opportunity, and the things that we were experiencing. So I put that together and I shared it with very many women in cannabis in Canada, and there was a lot of support. And that's what became of the Canadian Women, the birth of Canadian Women in Cannabis. And it was created to give women a national voice in cannabis and create connection and collaboration and leadership and opportunity. For me, as an independent consultant, I wasn't working directly in the industry and in that kind of thing, but I have many years of experience as a woman working in other industries. And I know that it's not uncommon for the barriers that we face, the systemic barriers that we face in the cannabis industry is not unlike other industries. So I thought we need to do something. This was a new industry in Canada, like it became legal like it did in various parts of states. And to many women, it was opportunity, But what happened when it did become legal, it was like the same old that happens in other industries. The male leadership is still prevalent. The opportunities for women are still limited and those underrepresented. So it was important to me to do what I could to help collaborate women and to form this national nonprofit corporation that would be that voice for women.
No, that's amazing. And, let's talk a little bit about the development of, Canadian Women in Cannabis. Let's talk about that. What is it like to be a part of that organization? What kind of things do you guys focus on in bringing other women together? Let's talk a little bit about the organization itself.
Absolutely. So in January 2018, it's like been 8 years. We presented a paper to the government. I brought together women and we prepared a paper to the government that identified who women are, what our barriers are, and what we wanted to work with our government right at that early stage of implementation, because we want to be at that table of policy. So we formed that. That was in 2018. At the same time, it was imperative to let Canadian women know that we exist. So we opened the door for our collective and invited members. And we formed our board and advisory. So through the years, what we've been doing, and I've been doing as much as possible with the co-creators with me, is we have gatherings in community across Canada. They're called quick socials, where we come together and we meet and we share our stories, we share our knowledge, we share our lived experience, and we also have a newsletter that goes out. We established our membership of women from across Canada and internationally. The idea is to bring us together. We use digital, right? This is what you do in 2020 when we couldn't meet. There we are, digitally aligned, through our Google Meet platform. So my goal is always collaborate, connect, bring women together. And the advocacy side of it is a huge part in that. We have come together as a community of women under what we call the 4 pillars of advocacy. These were built by our board very early on. And that is, we stand for these 4 pillars: justice, we stand for fair laws in Canada, for our citizens, for business. We stand for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We stand for cannabis education and sustainability. So all of us have come together under those values, and we're working really hard to educate our government, to work together with our government and our industry and our community. So for me, it's been very rewarding 8 years, because we are now at the point where we are a stakeholder in the Canadian cannabis industry, and we are bringing forward our key recommendations that we are asking our government to do. All the while, the women coming together, it's so fun, it's so fantastic. For example, on March 8th, International Women's Day, we held 2 Canadian women in cannabis socials across Canada, one in Ontario, one in BC, and the women come together in a social aspect. We share food and drink and come together and talk about who we are, what we do, and how we can collaborate together for better, So we're still young and evolving, and we're also looking at going globally. So it's very exciting to be a part of that. So I welcome all people to join our collective, as well as women who are involved in really doing some fantastic things in Canada to move the dial. We recognize their achievements and work towards supporting them in every way we can.
That's wonderful. And it's amazing to watch from the sidelines. I can't wait to come to Canada and hang out with you and Sherry Bennett and Allison Burden, a lot of the key players in the space that have been pushing for this. I'm so glad that you guys have connected and everyone's working together to build this on a global scale, because again, cannabis has no eyes, no ears. There, women have no borders. So, this should be an international movement to help support women across all countries to have safe access to the plant.
So true. And let's do that, Julie. We can. It's all about where there's no table or no chair at the table. We pull up the table and the chair, and we create that. And that's what Quick's all about. And, I've reached out to women across the country and invited them to participate. And I still do. These are co-creators. These are women who are passionate about cannabis. They come from all areas of the industry, consumers, patients, women working in the industry, scientists, cultivators, curious. This plant is so special and so important. And we know that the misinformation is still there. And it's unfortunately even still guiding our policy. We have got to do this change, for the betterment of not only the plant, but for the people, So when I meet with women, we are excited. We are happy. We are overcoming these barriers that we have to face. And women face a lot of barriers, period. We do. And it's always the workaround that we have to do to survive. But we have such hope with cannabis hemp. And many of our women are also involved in psychedelics.
Yep, exactly. And again, plant medicine, goes across all lines. Again, our ancestors have been consuming these plant medicine for thousands of years, to the point where we developed an endocannabinoid system to process it and work in conjunction with our immune system. So, again, I do see the value in exploring all plant medicine, whether it's, psilocybin or peyote. There's a lot to be uncovered. I think there's a tremendous amount of information still needed. And I'm glad that we're starting to open up those gateways to explore and research it.
Yes, and it does take, the will of your government, because coming out of prohibition, It was almost 90 years in Canada, you know, so we went from illegal to legal, and a lot of harm happened during that illegal time to a lot of people. So Canadian Women in Cannabis did come together as a team and talk about, what needs to be done as we move forward with legalization in Canada. Yes, you can regulate and legalize it, but there was a lot of harm, and there's repair to be done there. And the recognition of the harms of prohibition. And our government needs to do that. They need to recognize that, and there's also people who have been left out in the new world, in the new legalized world, especially those who were racialized through prohibition and other underrepresented. So we've got work to do with our government in that sort of mindset change, because they, I don't find our, putting as much energy into cannabis and hemp as they do other areas of, for the GDP and where Canada does well. Every country, if they focused on, treating cannabis as the plant it is, and and apply the science that we have, we could do well worldwide for cannabis medicine. We just have to have that will of our government. Our industry is pushing for it as well. There's a lot of interest to push for, better business practices as well, and less regulation or less choking regulation. So there's a lot going on in the advocacy in cannabis in Canada. But having said that, we are still, I think, if not the first country, G7 country to introduce cannabis. And we've come a long way, and we're doing very well. We just have this great opportunity to make it greater.
No, that's wonderful. And I think you said it perfectly. And, to that point, what are you guys currently working on? I know you've had some government changes, as we did in the US as well. And, we're doing our best as industry leaders to kind of navigate the craziness. But, what are you guys currently working on from a legislation perspective, trying to support?
Well, we have developed our advocacy team of volunteer leading women. Coming together to do this kind of advocacy work is no easy task. Like, let's face it, this is truly a movement in many ways. It's a movement for women and it's a movement for cannabis, which, both are not at the state that we want to see them at. We're certainly not at equality for women worldwide, never mind Canada. So what are we working on in Canada in terms of advocacy? Well, our women have come together. Now, when I say that, this is a lot of work to pull women together to take a look at the critical issues that are going on in cannabis and recommending to our government changes. So we did just that in 2023. We formed this group of, just incredibly wise women who have lived experience and background in cannabis, to come together and take a look at our legislation. The government was asking for feedback to the legalization. So we met and we prepared a bias and barriers report, which is on our website, which highlights 19 recommendations to the government from the women's perspective. This is something that we want the government to absolutely take a look at, because we see the need for, social responsibility on the part of government to include women and others who were not represented, like Indigenous folks and others who were just not even involved when crafting these laws. So as a result, you have laws that haven't addressed, and aren't really addressing, parts of your population that are really in need of that. So that report was huge, Julie. And, I give credit to women who, again, we come to the table volunteering our time, in addition to all the other volunteer work we do. Let's face it, and other, unpaid care work we do. Women carry so much in the voluntary spectrum. But these ladies came together, and this is what we have around the table right now, is a whole team of women, Allison and Sherry and our board of 5 and our advisors. When I call them, we come together and we address and talk about what we need to do next, how we can. We've been writing to our government. Our new government was appointed last year under Prime Minister Mark Carney, and we are in touch with our government to connect with them and to have them hear what the women have to say. It's slow moving, but step by step, we are having impact, and our women are just primed up for this change. We know the change will come, and we need your help, Julie. We need our American friends. We need our entire North America together, and indeed worldwide. We have connections all over in Europe, Australia, and various locations. Women are very interested in coming together for this. So I say, let's build and grow.
I'm all about it. I'm all about supporting our brothers and sisters in the North. And, again, I think a lot of barriers happened from our perspective as well, just from importing and exporting capabilities. So thankfully, the tariffs have gotten situated, thanks to our Supreme Court and overruling different things. I do see this coming year being a big one for collaboration and supporting one another. And that's how it should be. It should always have been like that. So it's great to kind of remove some of those barriers that have been imposed, not as a whole, as a collective like we've wanted, but I'm glad that they're being removed, so we can do the work we need to do.
Yes.
It's important.
Well, the laws came into place, and a lot of times they were put in place for harm reduction and for other reasons, and there's all the fear associated with it. So step by step, we're bringing more of the knowledge and the education and the voices of those who really stand strong for it. And, women and men, we are a women's movement because we have not been included, but we support so much of the science and what's happened, with cannabis in our country. And I think it is true. We will do so much better when we do collaborate. So I'm looking forward to how we can effectively do that, Julie.
That's great. And, in that regard too, let's talk a little bit more about education. I know from my perspective, I've had to educate a lot of people coming from the traditional medicine background about cannabinoid science. There are still medical professionals in the US that have no idea about the endocannabinoid system. They don't know how the plant operates, how the body processes terpenes and cannabinoids. So talk to me a little bit about your medical cannabis program and how you guys have kind of created some information for hospital programs and stuff like that.
Yes, our women speak very much about the medical program. And I mean, that is one of the key advocacy points that we have identified, is that we'd like to see better patient access to cannabis. There is a program in place. It's been in place for many years, but I think, when the women come together and talk about it, they see improvements to that access system completely. I mean, a couple of hiccups I can think of right off the bat is that, physicians are given the authority to prescribe cannabis in Canada, but so many, like you say, don't either have that training, or it's not part of their training, or so automatically you have a system where those who are responsible for authorizing cannabis don't have the necessary competencies or skills to do that. So, solution number one, your physicians must be skilled in cannabinoid medicine to prescribe, so there's little bumps in the system like that. And then, it's really not, people don't know where to go to talk about cannabis medicine. If you look, it's not an easy path. So we see a way better path for citizens, so that they can come to a place, meet with a medical professional, talk about their health and wellness and their personal health story, and be guided for medical treatment and health in a really great way, and an easy way. Not that it has to be at cities or in certain places, but you can do these things digitally. Like, you can have access to cannabis in way better form than what we have. So we're talking about that. And our women have come up with ideas, for example, to have health and wellness, a full health and wellness program in Canada that's specific to cannabinoid medicine. We're talking about health and wellness programs for women specifically as well. So The ideas are unlimited right now. However, we have to do that working within the system until the system changes, approach. And it's hard. We do have, medical professionals on our advisory as well. Dr. Jen Anderson from Manitoba is doing incredible work for advocacy, cannabis medicine in Manitoba, and sharing it across the country. There are many medical professionals who are sharing a better way, than what we do. Again, back to the will of government to listen, to, take a look at the policies and where the barriers are and how we can have a better system for our citizens. It's still a lot of work to do that. And as well as me that we can't change things until a lot of times the policy and regulations are amended. We're working within a barriered system. So it's hard, but we're not stopping, because when you, again, know the truth, the science, the facts, you see people healing, you see that there's options for people, you want to open that path for them and to really, bring forward the science and the facts. So that's what we're doing as women. And it's very, I'm so honored and impressed and happy to work with these women who continue to carry this torch. Again, so much voluntary work. We would like to be able to work in this industry for pay as well. We would like to be able to support our communities, but also be reimbursed for the good work that we're doing. So that's the other part of women and others who are very passionate about this plant, is that we see greater opportunity. For example, like, we would love to be able to grow our own, which we can. You can grow 4 plants and be able to, let's say, make our own products. And if we wanted to bring those to the farmers market as well, you can't do that. But traditionally, with the other kind of plant or food, you can do that. So, exactly. And better ways of educating in community, have it attached with your hospitals, with your clinics. So again, back to that easy path for access for those who are seeking it for their medical health and wellness.
No, and that's a great way to put it. Unfortunately, the allopathic model needs to be overhauled, and unfortunately, they preach a lot of stuff that doesn't get translated on the back end. And I'll give you a perfect example. In the U.S., my traditional allopathic PCP, she can't legally, because of her contract with the hospital system, talk about cannabinoids, even though patients use them. So it's like, there's a big disconnect in the United States, and, talking to other women in cannabis with their allopathic physicians in Canada, a lot of women face discrimination using cannabinoids. Have you guys encountered that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we hear from women who, mothers, the stigma attached with that. They fear even losing their jobs, There was a case cited where, you can't bring children into the cannabis stores, right? So there's mom out doing her shopping and needs to stop in at the cannabis store, but she can't with her kids, other issues, sexual harassment, these are common issues for women. But, the things that women face are real. And, I've heard of women who go to conferences, again, back to the sex symbol. One woman, it was such a sad story. She said, she was going to work at a conference at one of the booths for her company, and very excited for that day to meet the clients and be there. And, of course, a man came up to her and gave her kind of a sexist remark. And it kind of ruined her day. Like, she left and went home. And that may not seem like a huge thing for some people, but for her, it really was. Here she was out doing her job and, really excited about, about being there and delivering on her services that she does as a worker. And that happens. So I'm dismayed to hear that happened at a cannabis conference where often the women are sexually objectified. And it's something we have to deal with all the time. So that's
As
the other
industry
part.
leaders, right, we can just continue to build upon that and what is appropriate and what isn't. And I think a lot of times, because it is a newer space, a newer industry developing, we just have to make our voices very, very known and heard. And, I think what you're doing by collectively bringing women together, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I didn't know entirely when I set it up. I just set it up to bring women together, to connect. And I saw we need our voice here. It's just not here. So what can I do? And, my background in education and organizing, that kind of thing, I thought I'll do my best. And so far, I haven't had anybody say, this is not a good idea, you might as well stop. On the contrary, there's so many women that come and say, I'm so glad this is a safe channel for us to connect and tell our stories. And women are so brilliant and passionate. I just want to keep going and build this as big as we can. We are women in this industry, but first and foremost, we are women, and we, do suffer from a lot of barriers that are out there. So I'm thrilled to do it, and I'm thrilled to take it where it needs to go.
That's wonderful. No,
Yeah.
and you clearly see the passion, in just talking about it and supporting other women in the space. So where do you see your organization going? Where do you want this to go in the future? And how can people that are watching today, whether they're women, they're men, they want to support feminism, they want to support the nonprofit piece to help women, they want to make donations that are tax deductible. Let's talk a little bit more about how people watching today can support.
Oh, so kind of you to ask. Thank you so much. Yes, well, we are a national nonprofit corporation. We incorporated in 24, and we have big dreams and big goals. And those big dreams and goals are that we want to see change in, certainly the cannabis legalized regime. We want to see more inclusion. We want to see women leading. We want to see greater opportunity. In addition to a really great system, we want to be the G7 country that's doing the best thing for its citizens and Canadians. So where we're going is to build programs that will help women to lead, that will help cannabis medicine be integrated into our systems, that will help, equal opportunity for everybody to participate and do well. That's what we're building. We're talking to our government, and this again is a mindset change. The government, and even our parliament is not entirely, I don't think, clear on what cannabis really is. I think they truly still believe, all that misinformation. And we need to, you have to do that mindset change with your government. You also have to do that with your society, because yes, women are in every province in this country, and we're involved in cannabis, some of us, but for those who aren't involved in cannabis, you experience this in the States too, I'm sure. People, they have the negative connotation. So it's overcoming that with just your average, citizens, and not only your government. So where are we going? We've got a lot of education and information and sharing and helping people to understand and at least find the path that they're going to. And so as a new nonprofit, and we're all volunteering our time and contributing, we truly need funding to set up and operate and to hire our staff and to run our programs and to advocate. This is huge, huge work. So we invite donations to our organization. Any amount is beautiful. And it's by contacting us at our email is quick@canadianwomeninCannabis.ca. And we have our website, also known as CanadianWomenInCannabis.ca, that really provides an overview of who we are and what we do. We invite people to join as a member. Currently, it's free by donation. We've got a robust membership of women across Canada and US, and welcome anybody listening to join our organization. We welcome you. And we also welcome those who might be interested in helping to support us. We have volunteer opportunities. We partner with organizations as well, that are like-minded, that support our advocacy. And that's how we're building and growing, genuinely, authentically, holistically. And my thing to everybody is that, we're in this together, and we will do well if we collectively come forward. And that's all organizations and people that support cannabis as medicine and as opportunity for growth in our country. So.
Oh, that's great. And I love the fact that you guys also have a platform where other women entrepreneurs can connect their businesses. And can you explain a little bit about that and how that works for women watching today?
Yes. Well, we've established on all the social media channels. So women can connect just by being on social media. We're posting constantly about what we're doing. And we have a private portal. The Facebook portal is for our members as well, where you can come in and share information about yourself. We're building our directory, which is really going to be a huge resource for everyone, which women who come into the organization who want to populate their information into the directory can do so. And then we can find each other, right? Because when we come together, it's like the old days of exchanging business cards or whatever. Now we're digital. We want to be able to share who's involved in Quick, where you're located if you're in business, so that women can find other women in business. Women can, find other, coaches, to women in business, to events, to all kinds of things. That's what we're building. And of course, worldwide. Why not? I'd love to, if I'm coming to the States and I'm coming to your city, I'd like to know if there's events going on there that would be of interest to me. That's what we'd like to build, is that we become a, global community.
Yeah, and it's a safety net too, right? Women traveling abroad, they want to know where their people are and where it's safe, where they can consume safely with like-minded individuals, or whatever it is, whether it's business or they're a patient first and foremost. Just like you stated, given the option, right? Having options for women has to be like the first and foremost importance, because again, unfortunately, the allopathic model isn't designed to give options. They're traditional pharmaceuticals, and that's the way it is, So, I thank you for the important work that you're doing from a business perspective, but just from a community perspective, bringing women together, like-minded individuals. And everyone watching today, please definitely tune in and check out Donna and the work that they're doing at Quick. And please definitely donate and try to get be a part of a bigger international project. So thank you, Donna. I really appreciate it. The 40 minutes has flown by. We're almost up for time today, but is there anything you'd like to leave viewers with? Can you also just give us your contact information if anyone wants to, donate today after watching, become a member? What would you like to leave people with today?
Well, thank you so much. It's really been a great chat. Well, I'd like to leave that the cannabis industry, is still evolving, which means we have a rare opportunity to shape it intentionally. If we bring together education, community, and collaboration, we can build an industry that truly reflects values of wellness, equity, and opportunity for everyone. Thank you so much. And please feel free to get a hold of me via Quick at CanadianWomenInCannabis.ca. Check out our website, sign up, join us. We welcome all. And thank you so much, Julie, for having me on the show today. It's been fantastic.
Thank you, Donna. It's such an honor and a privilege to host you. I look forward to continuing our conversations. And thank you for everyone that tuned in today to our special segment. Please be kind, spread love, and we'll see you again in another 4 weeks for another beautiful episode. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? In a world quick to judge, one book dares to reveal the hidden cost of silence. Discover Holy but Harmful: The Silent Sin of Judgment, How Hidden Judgments Destroy Relationships and Damage Lives, by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. The Amazon #1 bestseller that's transforming the way we understand ourselves and the way we see others. Pick up the companion workbook to uncover your own hidden judgments and learn how to break free from them. Available now on Amazon and at fine bookstores worldwide.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at USAGlobalTV.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.